There was a time when every street in El Salvador whispered one word: fear. Shadows ruled the night, and gunshots became the city's heartbeat. Two deadly gangs, MS-13 and Barrio 18, fought for control of entire neighborhoods. Families locked their doors before sunset. Even the police avoided certain alleys. It wasn't just danger anymore, it was a way of life. Graffiti marked territories like invisible borders. A wrong turn could cost your life. Mothers prayed every evening for their sons to return home, while children grew up memorizing which streets never to cross. Fear wasn't just in the air. It was in every breath people took. El Salvador, once beautiful, had become trapped in its own silence. But change was coming. Somewhere in the distance, a young man watched the chaos unfold, his mind sharper than the fear around him. He was determined to end the nightmare. His name was Nayib Bukele, and his story was just beginning. For the first time in decades, the streets of El Salvador were about to hear something new. In the midst of chaos, one name began to echo: Nayib Bukele. Born into a family of Palestinian descent, his father was known as the Imam of El Salvador. But Nayib was different. He was young, bold, and spoke like no politician before him. While others made promises, he made plans. The people saw in him something they hadn't felt in years: hope. When he took office in 2019, many doubted him. He wore no tie, broke every political rule, and spoke directly to the people through social media. But his mission was clear: to save El Salvador from fear. He saw what decades of corruption had done, how gangs controlled lives, and how leaders had looked away. Bukele decided that enough was enough. He began cleaning the streets, rebuilding the system, and empowering the police. His words turned into action. Soldiers patrolled streets once ruled by criminals. For the first time in decades, people began to walk freely again. Bukele had lit a spark that would soon become a fire strong enough to change an entire nation. In March 2022, El Salvador declared a state of emergency. Overnight, the country transformed into a battlefield. Military trucks rolled through city streets. Helicopters thundered above, and entire neighborhoods were raided. In a few short months, over 64,000 gang members were captured, the largest anti-crime operation in Latin American history. But now came a new problem. Where could they possibly keep them all? The answer was born from steel and stone: CECOT, the terrorism confinement center. Built deep in the mountains, far from the city, it looked like something from a dystopian future. 15-meter-high concrete walls, wrapped in barbed wire and guarded by 19 watchtowers, surrounded the complex. Inside, the air felt heavy. This wasn't a prison for rehabilitation. It was a fortress built to contain evil. Its CECOT can hold 40,000 inmates, making it the largest prison in Latin America. From above, it looks like a symbol of power and control. For the first time, the gangs that once ruled the streets were trapped within their own walls. And outside those walls, the people of El Salvador finally began to breathe without fear. The gates of CECOT rise like the entrance to another world. Stepping inside feels less like entering a prison and more like crossing into a high-security war zone. Soldiers stand in perfect formation, their eyes fixed and unmoving. Every visitor is scanned, searched, and cleared through multiple checkpoints. Even the air feels different, thick, cold, and filled with authority. No one enters without being seen. No one leaves without being checked. Inside, the corridors stretch endlessly. Cameras line every wall, fingerprint scanners guard each door, and motion sensors track every movement. This is not just security, it's surveillance perfected. Prison staff and inmates alike must pass through advanced identification systems. Every face, every step, every second are recorded and analyzed. CECOT is more than a prison. It's a technological fortress designed to make mistakes impossible. Even the silence feels controlled. The echo of footsteps bounces off concrete walls like a warning. Every corner reminds you, this place was built for order, not mercy. Behind those walls are the men who once made an entire country tremble. But here, their power is gone. Here the law finally stands taller than fear. Rows of inmates move in perfect lines, heads shaved, eyes down, bodies covered in tattoos that tell stories of terror. These are not small-time criminals. These are the men who once ruled entire neighborhoods with fear. Now, barefoot and stripped of all power, they shuffle in silence. Thousands of them, shoulder to shoulder, bound by chains and walls they cannot escape. The sight alone feels unreal, like an entire generation of violence contained in one single frame. The camera pans closer. Every tattoo is a confession. Gang insignias, names of the dead, codes of loyalty. What once gave them identity now brands them forever as enemies of peace. Guards stand watch from the upper decks, rifles ready, eyes alert. The prisoners no longer look dangerous. They look defeated. The balance of power has shifted, and the message is clear. Chaos is over. Order has begun. But beneath the silence, something lingers. The way they stare back at the lens, cold, calculating. It's not regret, you see. It's memory. The ghosts of what they were still live behind those eyes. And as the gates lock behind them, the question remains. Can a nation truly erase its darkness, or just bury it deeper underground? Deep inside CECOT lies the command center, a room glowing with blue light, lined with endless screens and digital maps. Here, every inch of the prison is under constant watch. Faces flash on monitors, movement sensors blink, and AI systems analyze every signal in real time. It feels less like a prison control room and more like a military operations hub. Every second, every heartbeat inside those walls is being tracked from here. Officers sit in silence, eyes fixed on data streams. One screen shows prisoner heat maps, another displays biometric logs. If anyone even raises their voice in a cell, it registers on the system. No chaos, no whispers, no rebellion can go unnoticed. The technology doesn't just control, it predicts. It knows when to lock down, when to alert, and when to intervene. In the middle of it all stands the chief officer, arms crossed, staring at a live feed of thousands of inmates in the yard. His face is calm, but there's a quiet authority in his eyes. This room doesn't run on fear, it runs on precision. Inside CECOT, power isn't shouted, it's monitored, measured, and absolute. Morning in CECOT doesn't look like morning, because the lights never go off. Inside the cells, time has no meaning. The same white glow burns 24/7, keeping everyone awake in the same cycle of control. Prisoners rise when ordered, eat when ordered, move when ordered. No sound but the echo of chains and footsteps. Even their shadows seem tired. For the inmates, every day feels exactly like the last. Meals are identical. Rice and beans, served through narrow slots. No flavors, no choices, no comfort. The exercise time lasts just 30 minutes. They move in perfect formation, heads down, hands behind their backs, a human routine designed to erase rebellion. Each motion is monitored. Each second is counted. The message is clear. Freedom is no longer a word they own. When the day ends, though no one knows when it truly ends, the prisoners return to their cells. The lights still blaze. The silence is louder than screams. The guards patrol from above, watching through bulletproof glass. Life inside CECOT doesn't change with time. It simply continues, like a punishment that never sleeps. In one of CECOT's narrow corridors, a single inmate sits alone, head bowed, hands cupped. His tattoos tell his story before he even speaks. Skulls, numbers, names of the dead, the marks of a man once feared by everyone. But now there's no anger left, just silence. When he finally looks up, his eyes aren't violent. They're hollow, filled with memories that won't fade. He joined the gang when he was only 11. Back then, he thought tattoos meant power. Killing meant respect. But now, after 30 lives taken, he says he cries every night. He wishes he could go back, but there's no road left. His words are slow, his voice cracking under regret. Inside this fortress of punishment, he's already serving a greater sentence, the one inside his mind. The camera stays on his face, long enough to make you uncomfortable. You can see the war between guilt and hopelessness. Behind him, the white walls reflect the same emptiness he feels. This isn't just a prisoner. It's the result of generations lost to violence. A boy who became a killer, and a killer who now wishes he could be a boy again. Inside CECOT, control is absolute, but it comes at a price. The guards, armored and faceless, patrol the corridors day and night. Their masks hide not just their identities, but their exhaustion. Every glance, every breath is part of duty. They live surrounded by men who once ruled the streets, now reduced to numbers. But power, even here, demands something in return. Guards spend 5 days inside, 5 days outside. They sleep in small dorms beside gun racks and surveillance screens, their gym, their food, even their laughter, all confined behind the same walls as the criminals. To keep the nation safe, they've traded their own freedom. They don't call this a prison, but a post, a fortress they can't truly leave behind. And yet beyond these walls, peace returns to El Salvador. Streets once ruled by fear are now filled with families again. Children play where gangs once stood guard. But as the nation sleeps safely, hundreds of men in uniform stay awake, watching, guarding, sacrificing. Safety has a face, and it doesn't smile. Outside the prison walls, El Salvador looks different now. Streets once haunted by violence echo with children's laughter. Markets stay open late, families walk without fear, and hope, something long forgotten, has returned. For the first time in decades, people feel safe in their own country. But behind this peace lies a story written in iron and fire. Nayib Bukele, a president of Palestinian descent, changed the course of his nation. When he took power in 2019, few believed he could break the cycle of crime. But he declared war on the gangs, built CECOT, and locked away tens of thousands. His approval now stands at 85%. To many, he is a hero. To others, a warning. His methods sparked global debate. Order born from fear or courage born from necessity. As the sun sets over CECOT's concrete walls, one truth remains. El Salvador was no longer the same. The world watches, divided between admiration and unease. The president promised safety, and he delivered it. But the question echoes through time. What is the price of peace, and who must pay it?